Hello, this is Mary Lou Foster. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have a card for you using the Sophisticated Sled Bundle. This is my third card, kind of in a series. This card is Cherry Cobbler. It's red to the max red. And I'm going to make the sled differently than I have on the other videos. And you may notice that my sample has ink across it. Yes, this is what happens when your sample takes an ink pad during a class. Things happen. So it's still a good sample, but definitely I will not be sending this one and trying to fix it. There's really not a way to fix it, but I needed it to show you how to get this card put together. It's just a traditional card with a front that's mounted on dimensionals. The dies, Countryside Corner dies. I will post the list of supplies that I'm using in this class. Also, the cutting instructions, all of that will be on my blog, so there'll be a link that you can use to find out how to make this card. I kind of like this one. It uses the iconic celebrations. All of these products are online exclusives, so they're not going to be pictured in a catalog. You may remember now that Stampin' Up! Offers in between the catalog product releases. And one of them, the products are called online exclusives because they're exclusively online. They're not pictured in catalogs. So it's a cool way that Stampin' Up! Has staying current, offering more products, not relying necessarily always on a printed catalog. For those of us who are older, it's a little bit of a transition and a challenge. But you shop on Amazon and you don't have a printed catalog, so why not shop on Stampin' Up! Without a printed catalog? You may notice that this layer is embossed. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of later afternoon here, and I think my light may not be the best in the world. I have embossed that layer with the Timber 3D embossing folder. Kind of reminds me of a birch tree. It gives it some texture. It's not just a flat. And I think what I'll do is build my front before I put it on the card. So the dies bundle, let's talk about them for a minute. You can stamp this sled and die cut it because this is the outline for that. Or you can use this die and cut out a sled, and then use this die to cut out the slats of the sled. And then you're going to have an extra piece, and you're like, what in the world is that? Well, that's I'm sure it has an official name in the sled world, rudder, for lack of a better, since I don't really know what it's called. It's a steering mechanism for the sled, because the front of the sled sort of pivots and moves. So you can put this together without even having to stamp the sled. I have used pecan pie because that just looks like wood to me. You could use crumb cake. You could actually use some of our designer series paper that looks like wood. But the nice thing about this die is it adds the texture to it. So I've punched out all the little holes. And what I'm going to do, I think I will put my adhesive down this center piece, because there's not a lot of places to put your adhesive. I need a silicone mat. Let's see here. I'll have in my trash, if I can find it now, the discarded sheet of, but I'm not going to find it. So let's just get a silicone mat. These are in the catalog, And they're pretty awesome when you're trying to work with adhesive that you don't really want it sticking out everywhere. All right, so I know. Let's lay this on here and then kind of see if those go right along on there. There you go. Pretty sure that's gonna keep us together. Then I can put adhesive anywhere I want. Well, let's put this little guy on. And honestly, I don't know if it goes this direction or this direction. I think on my sample I did it with the kind of down like that. And I'm going to use the silicone mat again and run some adhesive on that. You could use liquid glue and the silicone mat. And mount that. There you go. Now I'm going to run more adhesive on these parts that are going to be a little bit thicker and stick up more. Let's see if this will work. And I'm going to angle that little guy. I don't know why I'm calling it a guy. It just looks like a guy. I have already stamped my skates in cherry cobbler. You could do them in black. It doesn't really matter. But since everything else is cherry cobbler. And let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. It says, let's decorate the season with happiness. We're doing that in pecan pie. It's upside down. This is one of the dies from the Countryside Corner dies. It's the very middle one. And I love it because it adds a little, kind of cuts off the corners some. It's not just a square label. I'm not going to layer any of this except the sentiment. And the way I have that, the bow kind of holds on. So let's put some adhesive here. We have recently gotten kittens, and those kittens have been in here. They get up on my table and they steal my sponge daubers. And yesterday they brought me my pokey tool. Can't think what it's called now. And there's kitten hair everywhere. I told you all of that to tell you about the kitten hair. I'm going to put a glue dot underneath this bow so it will stick where I want it to. And I don't want to cover my words. I put one dimensional underneath that end right there. Now, I'm going to mount this on some of our, here's what I'm looking for. I know I have one little piece that I wanted to use. These are our foam adhesive sheets. They cover a lot more territory than just our dimensionals. I love dimensionals. And you're never going to convince me not to use dimensionals. But I have started using these adhesive sheets because it doesn't take as much of them. And you can beef it up some here. So I still like to do the corners in the middle because I don't want my middle to sag. Where's my card? Here's my card. Now, the decision. Am I going to put this at an angle or am I going to put it straight? I think for this one, I'm going to put it straight. I have 5 more kits because I cut extra and I didn't have as many come, and some had to cancel. So I ended up with leftovers, whatever. They'll be my Christmas cards. And then let's go ahead and do our inside. I have cut an extra piece of the designer series paper. This comes from the Iconic Celebration, which is also an online exclusive. There are stamps and dies that go with that. And we're going to use the sentiment from Very Best Occasions. It looks like I maybe stamped that in pecan pie. And I stamped it over, but I don't think I'm going to do that this time. Just going to stamp the sentiment. I didn't get it inked up really well. And then I'm going to pop a little color on it. Let's do some Old Olive. And even though it didn't ink up really good, I can do that. Let's go ahead and draw our line. And dark melon mambo. I think when I did this kit, I couldn't find my cherry cobbler, so I had to call an audible. You know, some days are like that. Then we're going to put our inside in. Go back and embellish it a little bit. I will post a link to my blog that will have the cutting instructions and the list of supplies that I use. If you need help, if you just reach out to me. I have used the pecan pie and clear ribboned adhesive back dots. These are not what's on this one, but this is what they got in their kit. I think today I'm going to use the pretty clear ones because they add some sparkle. I think that's all it needs. You could probably embellish with whatever you chose. So technically this is a really simple card. It's a great way to get rid of some pretty designer series paper. We've used the sophisticated sled bundle. Here are the dies. Here are the stamps. Not all the dies are on here because I used them. If you have any questions, just let me know. That's all I have for you today. So I will talk to you later.